And Faith and I have never acted together. We've never done anything on screen together other than videos.
The morning sun filters through the tall pines lining the driveway of the McGraw family home, casting long shadows across a manicured lawn that has witnessed both triumph and heartbreak. This is the sanctuary of a couple once believed invincible, Tim McGraw and Faith Hill. For more than 2 decades, they defined country music royalty, a love story as timeless as their chart-topping duets, an unbroken streak of platinum albums and sold-out arenas that seemed impervious to life's vicissitudes. But today, everything has changed. Today, Tim McGraw stands at a crossroads, one that demands he choose between the roar of stadium lights and the quiet vigilance at Faith's bedside. It was early last week when the news broke. Faith Hill, powerhouse vocalist, superstar mother, and beloved American icon, had received a devastating diagnosis. Details remain closely guarded, yet the whispers echo across social media, friends braced for the worst, fans rallying prayers, headlines proclaiming a tragic turn in the couple's fairy tale saga. In the glittering world of headline-grabbing scandals and manufactured feuds, this raw human crisis reminds us that fame and fortune offer no shield against fate's cruel twists. On one side, a career that redefined the modern country-pop crossover. On the other, an irrevocable test of the most celebrated marriage in music history. Within hours of the announcement, Tim McGraw issued a terse statement: "Faith is my heart, my guiding light. I'll be by her side every step of this journey." In an instant, tour dates were suspended, studio sessions postponed, and the well-oiled machinery of superstardom ground to a halt. The roar of dedicated fans who once cheered his every high note now gave way to a hush of concern. What does it look like when a living legend steps off the mounting dais of fame? How does a performer used to commanding thousands of voices navigate the silent vigil at home? Over the coming minutes, we'll retrace the remarkable arc of Tim and Faith's shared life, from their humble beginnings to the towering heights of success, and witness how this ultimate challenge threatens to redefine everything they've built together. Imagine a younger Tim, barely out of college, guitar slung low over his shoulder, driving into Nashville with little more than raw ambition and a wounded knee that severed his dream of professional baseball. Scrawled inside his battered duffel were 3 chords and a ballad, his only hope for immortality in a town that eats hopefuls for breakfast. He hadn't yet met Faith Hill. He didn't know he would someday fill arenas singing duets that felt like confessions. His story began in rural Louisiana, a revelation of hidden parentage and a late-blooming relationship with a father he once thought lost to denial. That churn of rejection and rediscovery forged a resilience in Tim, a thirst to prove himself not as the son of a ballplayer, but as an artist capable of moving hearts. Meanwhile, in small-town Mississippi, a shy girl named Audrey Faith Perry crooned gospel hymns to steepled rafters, her voice soft as a summer breeze yet carrying the weight of 1,000 unspoken dreams. Adopted into a family anchored by faith, she learned early how music could heal, how the hush of an auditorium could cradle her budding confidence. Nashville finally called her name in her late teens after a string of odd jobs from flipping burgers to secretarial stints left her yearning for her real life, a stage bright enough to mirror the fire she felt inside. The path was rocky, rejection notes arrived faster than invitations, but when the right ears finally heard her demo, they heard more than a promising singer, they heard a star in the making. Their worlds collided in 1996 on a makeshift stage backstage at a Louisiana county fair. Both had scars, Tim nursing the ghosts of a fractured family, Faith carrying the burden of bold ambition and the whisper of wedded vows past. What happened next still reads like a script. Shared late-night conversations under a tent of mosquitoes, stolen laughs over bad diner coffee, and a proposal scribbled in lipstick on a dressing room mirror. It was raw. It was unplanned. It was perfect. Within months, the couple married barefoot under an old oak tree, promising to outlast every storm side by side. Over the years, their voices intertwined on hits like It's Your Love, sending shivers through country fans worldwide and winning every major award in sight. They toured as a duet, each performance a showcase of mutual devotion. Yet behind the curtains, the demands of fame, endless travel, sleepless nights, and the relentless glare of publicity tested their vows. Tim battled his own demons, alcohol, the need to prove himself beyond his wife's meteoric success. Faith navigated the tightrope between the stage and motherhood, carving out time for newborn daughters amid media frenzy. Through every struggle, they leaned on a pact made out of sheer necessity, never to walk away from each other, no matter the odds. And now, as the shadows lengthen at their front door, as concert lights dim and radio stations hold their breath, that pact is under its severest examination. Tim's public statement could have been a PR move. Instead, it rang with the authenticity of a man stripped of pretense, willing to trade his legacy-laden career for the uncertain path of caretaker. In a world where headlines favor betrayal over vulnerability, his choice stands out as both radical and profoundly human. Tomorrow, the McGraw family home will see no tour bus parked at the curb, no merch truck rumbling in the drive. Instead, there will be a circle of close friends and relatives, voices low in prayer, tending to the woman whose melodies once filled arenas with hope. Faith Hill's diagnosis remains private, a guarded secret shared only among those who love her most. But her husband's promise echoes across every fan message board and news feed. He is saying goodbye to the stage, at least for now, to stay by her side. This is the story of two icons whose love became as famous as their music, now asked to perform the most intimate duet of all, one that unfolds in hushed hospital rooms and sunlit backyards, far from the cameras and the microphones. Over the next sections, we'll journey deeper into their past triumphs and trials, the turning points that prepared them for this moment, and the uncertain road that lies ahead. But first, let's step back and revisit how a starry-eyed couple from small towns rose to redefine what it means to be a power couple in country music, and why nothing, not even superstardom, can shield us from life's most profound tests. On the heels of his improbable breakout, Tim McGraw found himself thrust into a relentless whirlwind: photo shoots at dawn, interviews that blurred into one another, and the ever-present pressure to repeat lightning-in-a-bottle success. His second album redefined what country radio could and should be. Indian Outlaw crashed through with its unapologetic swagger, stirring both criticism and carnival excitement. Listeners flocked to streaming platforms and record stores alike, drawn by Tim's playful swagger and the song's controversial caricature of Native American stereotypes. While detractors branded it insensitive, the uproar only fanned the flames. Suddenly, radio stations that refused to play Indian Outlaw were fielding frantic phone calls from devotees demanding airtime. What began as a catchy tune became a cultural lightning rod, one that taught Tim a sterling lesson about flying too close to the sun and the price of visibility in an era hungry for spectacle. Yet amidst the firestorm, it was the delicate vulnerability of "Don't Take the Girl" that proved his true genius. Audiences across demographics resonated with the song's three-act narrative: a young boy pleading to save his father's innocence, a soldier on the battlefield begging for a bride's life, and finally, a father's tearful concession at his dying daughter's bedside. Country purists marveled at the depth of feeling packed into each chorus, while pop listeners found themselves unexpectedly moved by a genre they once dismissed. This crossover success vaulted the single to the top of both country and mainstream charts, cementing Tim's reputation as the rare artist who could unite tender balladry with stadium-filling bravado. Awards nominations poured in: ACM, CMA, even a nod at the Grammys. The stage lights glinted brighter, but behind the lens, Tim began to sense that the bigger the triumph, the steeper the fall. Meanwhile, Faith Hill's journey paralleled her future husband's meteoric rise, though hers was tinged with a different kind of tenacity. Her debut album, Take Me As I Am, dropped in 1993, with the kind of quiet confidence that belied her small-town origins. Wild One, its lead single, sashayed up the charts to claim the top spot for 4 consecutive weeks, an unprecedented feat for a newcomer. Critics applauded her powerhouse vocals and charismatic stage presence, but for every compliment, Faith absorbed a dose of skepticism. Could a gospel-trained singer survive the pop-tinted tides of mainstream country? Undeterred, she channeled the sting of rejection into her art, conquering frenetic tour schedules and overnight radio stops with equal vigor. Her sophomore release, It Matters to Me, further solidified her status, combining heartfelt honky-tonk with polished balladry. And just as Tim discovered, Faith understood that controversy could be a currency. A brief retreat to focus on family after her second album only deepened public fascination, setting the stage for an even bigger comeback. Their professional arcs inevitably converged when Faith joined Tim on tour as an opening act in 1996. On a humid Louisiana night, backstage corridors echoing with guitar riffs and stage crew chatter, two souls once hungry for recognition recognized each other's fight. They spoke of early defeats, the demos returned unopened, the festival slots that dried up, the relentless comparisons that threatened to box them into neat categories. From those shared vulnerabilities sprouted an unorthodox courtship, one built on mutual respect for hard-earned scars rather than glamour. They sang together late into the twilight hours, testing harmonies that would soon become signature duets. When Tim fell to one knee in a sweat-damp trailer and fashioned a proposal out of lipstick and cheeky humor, Faith saw past the charming stunt to the earnest devotion beneath. Their wedding was a love letter to authenticity. No red carpet glitz, no media fanfare, just a circle of family, friends, and the ancient oak tree under which they pledged forever. Such a monumental public act felt startlingly intimate, a testament to their shared belief that the most profound moments are lived away from cameras. Soon after, the world witnessed their first duet as a married couple, It's Your Love, ascend to #1 for 6 weeks straight. Each performance radiated an intangible chemistry, two voices weaving into a single heartbeat, an auditory emblem of partnership that transcended celebrity. As their careers soared, so too did the scrutiny. Tim's long hours on the road, augmented by promotional stops and award show obligations, collided with Faith's own demanding schedule. Behind the curtain, Tim battled alcohol's whispering temptation, a struggle he would later confess on a candid podcast interview. He credited Faith's unwavering encouragement for his eventual sobriety, acknowledging that without her love, he might have slipped into obscurity, or worse. Faith, in turn, faced her own private battles, whispers of vocal strain, fleeting rumors of surgeries past, and the delicate balance of motherhood in the media glare. Through each crisis, the couple leaned on a pact more binding than any record contract, to face every challenge with unity and grace. They learned that resilience was not born from unbroken success, but forged in the alchemy of hardship and hope. This intertwining of fortune and fragility became their trademark, chart-topping triumphs painted in the same brushstrokes as life's most intimate trials. Now, as the world watches Tim McGraw step away from the microphone to tend to his wife, that same pact undergoes its sternest test. The stage where they once belted duets is silent. Instead, hospital corridors and quiet living rooms await. Fans who once queued for concert tickets are rallying with digital bouquets and prayer threads, hoping for news they can hold on to. Meanwhile, tabloids speculate about the nature of Faith's diagnosis, but the McGraw family remains united in discretion, honoring the privacy they've long cherished. Tim's decision to pause a dynasty is not just a personal sacrifice. It's a seismic shift in country music's landscape. It forces us to confront a simple truth: even icons are mortal, and some battles demand the kind of courage that no spotlight can illuminate. As we move into the next chapter of their story, we'll explore how this pause might redefine legacy, reshape public perceptions of strength, and ultimately reveal what it means to stand by someone when the roar of fame has fallen mute. Every family has its heartbeat, and for the McGraws, that rhythm has always been a careful dance between spotlight and sanctuary. Behind stadium sold-outs and multi-platinum plaques, Tim and Faith built a life anchored by 3 daughters, Gracie, Maggie, and Audrey, whose laughter once echoed through tour buses and backstage corridors. Sleepless nights weren't for songwriting, but for diaper changes and whispered prayers that the next day's schedule wouldn't pull parents too far from tiny hands reaching out for bedtime stories. In the glare of fame, they created a home where ordinary moments, pancakes on Sunday mornings, backyard soccer games, bedtime lullabies, reclaimed their sense of peace. Yet perfection remained an illusion. Even as the world cheered every duet performance, tabloids whispered of friction, a late flight missed, a cancelled photo op, a terse quote taken out of context. Tim's relentless touring left him hollowed by exhaustion. Faith's rising career demanded vocal rest that sometimes meant stepping away from the microphone. In the solitude of tour bus bunks and hotel rooms, they confronted the price of relentless ambition. There were nights Faith wept over vocal strain, the chords that once soared suddenly rasping with fatigue. There were days Tim wrestled with guilt, apologizing to daughters who missed seeing him walk them to the bus stop, but each fracture in their routine taught them something crucial: that vulnerability didn't weaken the union, it reinforced it. The whispers of health troubles first surfaced in the late 90s, a murmur about broken blood vessels and neck discomfort that grew into full-blown speculation when Faith appeared on the Oscars red carpet with a shockingly short haircut. Some fans saw strength in her confidence, others saw fear in the scar peeking above her collar. Rather than deny or dramatize, Faith chose silence, continuing to perform with the same ferocity that defined her voice. She took a 3-year break after her second album, not as a retreat from stardom but as a strategy for survival, moments to heal, recharge and reconnect with family. When she returned with a pop-country fusion that topped charts worldwide, even critics conceded that her talent had only deepened. Meanwhile, Tim faced his own crossroads. The industry leaned heavily on his marriage as a marketing hook, pairing every solo single with rumors of duets in living rooms and interviews about husband and wife synergy. Fans adored the idea of a perfect country couple, but the reality was more complicated. At one point, Tim confessed on a podcast that alcohol had felt like a refuge from the pressure, a way to silence the inner critic that demanded constant brilliance. Faith's steady presence, her unwavering faith both spiritual and personal, provided the lifeline he needed. She became not just a collaborator, but a savior, reminding him that love could outlast any chart position or award. Despite tumultuous stretches, they returned season after season with chart-topping albums and headline tours. In 1999, Faith's album Breathe sold nearly 10 million copies, the title track soaring to number 2 on the Hot 100 and giving her the confidence to embrace pop-leaning production. Tim's song Live Like You Were Dying arrived in 2004 as a poignant reminder of life's fragility. Inspired by his father's passing, it became an anthem for listeners facing their mortality. These crown jewel moments, when they individually touched millions, also strengthened the bond between them. They recognized that fame came with an unspoken contract to use their platform for more than entertainment, to share glimpses of real struggle and triumph. But no amount of awards or record sales prepared them for a partner's silent battle with illness. The moment Faith received her diagnosis, the script flipped. Tim's usual calm at press conferences gave way to visible strain. His voice, known for its power and steadiness, quivered when he spoke of her. Tour buses that used to hum Broadway-style stage plays and itineraries now sat idle, the wheels unmoved by anticipation. In place of music gear lined up backstage, visitors arrived bearing casseroles and get-well cards. The McGraw family home transformed into a command center, rooms reserved for medical consultations, spreadsheets tracking medication schedules, a low-lit corner with a recliner where Faith could rest. Their public appearances grew exquisitely rare, replaced by updates posted sparingly on social media. In one photo, Tim cradled Faith's hand, their entwined fingers a quiet testament to solidarity. In another video, Faith, her voice soft yet resolute, thanked fans for their prayers and asked for patience as she battled an invisible foe. Without sensational headlines, these moments resonated more deeply than any performance montage. The absence of spectacle revealed a truth that Twitter threads and tabloid covers could never capture: that love, when truly tested, shows its strength not in grand gestures, but in the mundane rhythms of care. Friends described Tim McGraw as a man remade by this crisis. Where once his schedule was balanced on a razor's edge between interviews, studio sessions, and photo calls, now every sunrise begins with a silent question: how is Faith feeling today? Industry heavyweights who once jockeyed for his favor now wait patiently, understanding the stakes. Record labels check in with more than profit margins. They ask after Faith's latest scan results and offer to push release dates indefinitely. Colleagues have arranged rotating meal trains, soups and stews arriving on pantry shelves like small declarations of community. Through it all, Tim navigates the unfamiliar territory of full-time caregiver, trading stadium spotlights for the soft glow of a bedside lamp. As word spread through fan forums and country music circles, a curious alchemy took place. Some listeners who'd never attended a McGraw concert found themselves moved to donate to health charities in Faith's name. Online tributes poured in fan art, prayer chains, messages stitched with hope. The same digital platforms that once fueled celebrity feuds now became vessels for collective compassion. No one could buy backstage passes to this vigil, yet millions felt they had a stake in Faith's recovery. This groundswell of goodwill affirmed something the couple always believed, that music forges communities rooted not in distance or difference, but in shared humanity, and yet the road ahead remains uncertain. Medical updates are scarce, and Faith's prognosis is kept between her circle of doctors and loved ones. Tim has vowed to remain at home until she regains her strength, even if it means shelving career plans indefinitely. As the sun sets each evening over their Louisiana retreat, he whispers the same promise: "I won't leave your side." That vow, simple yet profound, stands in stark contrast to an industry built on fleeting trends and headline-grabbing drama. In this moment, the echo of stadium applause feels distant, replaced by something far more resonant, the quiet rhythm of two hearts beating in unison, an unbreakable duet playing in the face of uncertainty. The music industry has long thrived on momentum, singles climbing the charts, album rollouts timed to perfection, touring cycles mapped years in advance. But in recent days, that well-oiled machine has screeched to a halt in honor of Faith Hill's health battle. Executives at major labels have quietly shifted strategies, converting marketing budgets earmarked for Tim McGraw's next single into support for Faith's care network. Publicists who once crafted talking points around radio, ads and streaming milestones now collaborate on press releases that humanize rather than sensationalize, emphasizing private healing over public spectacle. Even radio programmers, accustomed to debating airplay metrics, now weigh announcements about benefit concerts and fundraiser drives as front-page priorities. In a business built on selling dreams, this moment reminds us that sometimes the most compelling narrative is one rooted in unvarnished reality. In fan communities, spanning Reddit threads, Facebook groups, and Twitter hashtags, the conversation has pivoted toward collective action, organizing blood drives, coordinating meal trains, and pooling donations for medical bills. A grassroots campaign, #StandByFaith, has emerged, with thousands tagging personal stories about standing by loved ones through illness. The movement transcends political and geographic divides. Country purists and pop crossover fans alike share prayers and playlists in equal measure. One volunteer-led initiative even coordinated healing playlists on Spotify, combining Faith's greatest hits with other artists whose songs speak to resilience and hope. In this digital age, grief and optimism traverse the globe in seconds, forging a virtual sanctuary where strangers become unlikely allies in a common cause. Meanwhile, chart forecasters and trend analysts sift through data, recalibrating projections to account for the indefinite pause in Tim's career. Will fans return in droves when he reemerges, or has this hiatus fundamentally altered audience loyalties? Industry veterans note that the outpouring of goodwill may deepen the emotional connection between artist and listener, rendering future releases more than mere entertainment. They will be symbolic milestones in a collective healing journey. At the same time, competitors recognize that no marketing playbook can manufacture the authenticity of a spouse forsaking stage and studio to stand vigil at home. This rare display of commitment disrupts the cynical notion that celebrity is always transactional, replacing it with a narrative of enduring devotion. The couple's philanthropic network, long active through silent auctions and benefit shows, has now rallied behind a formal foundation in Faith's name. Early fundraising events held virtually to accommodate health restrictions have raised millions for research into conditions rumored to parallel her diagnosis. Medical experts who initially hesitated to attach official endorsements have since aligned themselves with the cause, seeing in Faith's platform an unparalleled opportunity to destigmatize conversations about chronic illness. Health journalists, who once pursued tabloid-worthy scoops, now pen thoughtful pieces exploring the intersection of fame and vulnerability, invoking examples ranging from Selena Gomez's kidney transplant to Michael J. Fox's Parkinson's advocacy. The shift in coverage underscores a larger trend: audiences crave narratives that celebrate empathy and education over scandal. In private meetings, Faith's medical team has consulted celebrity wellness advisors and mental health specialists to ensure her journey addresses the whole person, not just the physical ailment. Holistic practitioners have been brought in to supplement conventional treatments. Meditation coaches, nutritionists, and vocal therapists collaborate to fortify body and spirit. Tim, ever the partner in both life and art, participates in every briefing, asking questions about side effects and long-term outlooks. Within days, he transitioned from chart-topping artist to caregiver-in-chief, attending appointments, tracking symptoms, and learning to navigate insurance lingo with the same precision he once applied to songwriting credits. Those who know him describe this role reversal as both humbling and transformative, a testament to the couple's ability to reinvent themselves when life demands it. In the grand tapestry of fame, Tim and Faith's current trial is far from unprecedented. History offers a dozen high-profile examples where celebrities faced life-altering diagnoses and chose divergent paths, some retreating into silence, others transforming personal adversity into public advocacy. Each precedent carries lessons for navigating the tension between privacy and purpose, and for harnessing celebrity as a force for compassion rather than mere spectacle. Consider Robin Roberts, the morning show icon who in 2007 quietly learned she had breast cancer. She delayed public disclosure until she was well into treatment, shaving her head in private, enduring grueling chemo rounds out of the lens of Good Morning America cameras. Then, at the height of speculation, she walked on set, head proudly bald, revealing that she'd beaten cancer and was ready to use her platform for education. Roberts's approach balanced vulnerability with control. She chose when to share, guided the narrative, and emerged as a beacon for early detection and patient empowerment. Her candor invited viewers into her journey without devolving into morbid fascination. Michael J. Fox offers another instructive arc. Diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in 1991, he waited 7 years before publicly acknowledging his condition. When he finally spoke out, testifying before Congress in 1998, he shifted the focus from his individual struggle to a call for increased research funding. In founding the Michael J. Fox Foundation, he turned personal hardship into institutional momentum, channeling celebrity cachet into scientific progress. His message avoided melodrama, focusing instead on pragmatic hope. "I just go to work," he said, "and keep the disease as far back in my mind as possible so I can still do the job I love." Selena Gomez's posture offers a more recent template. She lived with lupus and opted for a kidney transplant in 2017, candidly documenting her hospitalization and recovery on social media. By juxtaposing raw hospital footage with behind-the-scenes gratitude posts, Gomez humanized the transplant experience for millions. Fans didn't merely consume her story, they rallied on her behalf, organizing donor drives and raising awareness about organ donation protocols. In doing so, Gomez demonstrated how an unfiltered glimpse into vulnerability can mobilize a global community, blurring the line between passive fandom and active solidarity. There are also cautionary tales. Some stars, fearing stigma or career derailment, have concealed serious diagnoses until rumors threaten to overwhelm them. The result often breeds distrust, audiences feel betrayed, tabloids charge in with sensational headlines, and the emotional resonance of eventual disclosures is tainted by evasiveness. In contrast, those who embrace strategic transparency, revealing key details on their own terms, tend to preserve credibility and deepen emotional bonds with their audience.
Tour.